We're here with intentional robot stuff. And the memes. We've brought all of that stuff together today. No, I'm just kidding. The only thing we have today is this cool book here. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it before. I don't know if it's still available anywhere to buy, but it was a gift. It was a gift that my dad gave me a long, long time ago. And it's like he could see the future. He could see the future. And he was like, maybe at some point in your life, you're going to read this and find it to be useful. Well, he was right. He was right. And here we are today, close to eons later, reading this book. Imagine what would have happened if I had read it back in the day when it was given to me. Would it have made a difference? Probably not. But anyway, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It was like really forward thinking back in those days. Was it back in those days? When was this thing published? Is there something that says, oh, printed May 2001 at Little Print, Genoa, Italy. Here, let me show you. Take a look-see at that. Anyway, we won't go into all the bad stuff that happened this morning because it's a secret, and I want to be able to get through this live. So we will not talk about the elephant in the room that killed the live earlier. But anyway, let's get in this. Let's get right into this thing. It's beautiful. Requirements for a theory of intentional subjects. The role played by simplicity cannot be overstated. It may be, for example, that we will find overreaching laws that subsume the phenomena of both physics and consciousness into a grander theory. This is something said by David Chalmers. A major danger attending any revolutionary proposal in the sciences is that too much of the old view may be discarded, that healthy babies may be carried away by floods of bathwater. Andy Clark says this. So these are, I guess, two quotes from people that are well known. Before entering into the details of the proposed theory of mind, a few words must be said about the criteria to be followed for its formulation. Some problems must be highlighted immediately. Let's suppose we want to uphold a theory stating that properties X and properties Y are derived from a more fundamental set of properties Z. Any attempt to use X or Y to explain Z would be manifestly circular and therefore a failure. However, how is it possible to avoid this mistake when trying to delve into the more fundamental aspects of language and reality? It's a pretty good question. There are no easy answers, only a few suggestions. All right, so let's figure out what he thinks may be the solution or something similar to the problem. All terms should be used at their face value, and all hidden connotations ought to be ignored. We must examine each concept, searching for obscurities or faults. Anything that is not based on sound foundations must be avoided. Of course, a similar way of proceeding might be suspect because of its manifest appeal to intuition. Nevertheless, since a theory of the mind cannot be anything but a theory of ourselves, and since such a theory cannot but touch our capacity of judgment, intuition must play a central role. In the following paragraphs, a series of criteria are proposed in order to compare the different theories that wish to explain consciousness. So when explaining consciousness, I guess it gets pretty complicated in here. Some of these criteria can be used generally to evaluate different theories. How can the criteria themselves be evaluated? Quis custodet custodes? Quis custodet custodes. Anyway, that's probably some Latin, a dead language that some people still know. I can't tell you what that means. Anyway, I think it probably explains it in the book. So we believe that the fundamental principle lies in considering experience, conscious experience, as the ultimate source of knowledge about reality and the ultimate judge about our theory about the constitution of the world. Interesting. So, ontological economy, Occam's razor. Very interesting. Occam's razor. All right, anyway. That does sound a lot like Marco backwards. Wait, no. Occam's. There's no R. There goes my dyslexia. Anyway, I'll show you what it looks like in there because I got confumbled. By that one. Between two theories, both capable of explaining the same phenomena, there is always a difference in the number of entities used. For instance, it is possible to explain the nature of gravitational attraction, providing different principles for the movement of heavenly bodies and for the movement of earthly ones. In heavenly spheres, a body follows perfect circles along concentric spheres called epicycles, while on the earth, a body moves along straight trajectories towards its natural place that is the center of our planet. Two principles for the same phenomenon. However, if we accept the universal principle of gravity proposed by Newton, it is possible to explain both classes of phenomena by using just one principle, the gravitational force. Newton's theory is more economical from the point of view of abstract entities that have to be used. The same can be said of the great theoretical unification of the XX century, electromagnetic and nuclear force. I'm going to show you what that is over here. Let's keep going. Have you fallen asleep yet? Some of you have probably fallen asleep. If there was anybody to see, they probably would have fallen asleep by now. In the same context, there were two different principles for explaining two apparently different physical phenomena. Yet thanks to Newton's theory of gravitation, a unique principle for both phenomena can be found: gravitational attraction. Newton's theory is better than previous theories since it is cheaper from an ontological point of view. Nowadays, the faith in this progressive reduction of explanatory principle drives physics towards a great unification of physical forces. Exciting. Are you excited? Did you understand anything that I read? Fun stuff, isn't it? Riveting content. This is why people don't do this kind of thing online. This is why, exactly why. But I am going to ram, as they say, metaphorically speaking only, some knowledge down your throats, as one should. Because you're either great or greatness must be thrust upon you. In this case, knowledge must be rammed down people's throats. Anyway, given two explanations of the same group of phenomena, one that uses less ontological entities is invariably preferred. Yet Occam's principle is founded on anything but our preference of simplicity and the evidence of an extremely long list of successes. The former motivation is nothing but a hope, while the latter cannot constitute a proof. It is possible that given a set of phenomena and two competing theories, both capable of explaining the phenomena, researchers will choose the simpler one. After a few years, new empirical facts, not compatible with the simpler of the two theories, are discovered, but they can fit in the framework of the more complex one. There is some extra stuff happening on the bottom here. Let's see, what does it say? There's a 3, then it says, this goal is not always successful to the same degree. For example, when Einstein searched for unification between electromagnetism and gravitation, His attempt was unsuccessful. Interesting. Let's get back into it. This is so exciting. Are you excited? Are you passionate? I don't know. There are historical examples, given the limited astronomical knowledge of the Middle Ages. The hypothesis that the Earth lay motionless at the center of the universe was simpler than the hypothesis that we were on a globe rotating at enormous speed and rocketing in an immense void of space. And then you have flat earthers. And then you have flat earthers. What are we gonna do with the flat earthers? All right, anyway. Yet, as soon as further astronomical facts were recorded, the theory of the Earth at the center of the universe became insufficient. The winning theory followed Occam's principle became inadequate. In that case, Occam's principle was wrong. Generally, Occam's principle holds, albeit with reservation. If all relevant facts are known, if this were not true, Occam's principle would not allow any valid inference. I see. Any valid inference. Okay. What are the relevant facts? And when it is possible to be sure to have collected them all? Are questions doomed to remain without answers? Thomas Nagel wrote. Just like when you try to catch them all like Pokemon. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You can't catch them. Thomas Nagel wrote. Anyway, any reductionistic program has to be based on an analysis of what is to be reduced. If the analysis leaves something, if the analysis leaves something out, the problem will be falsely posed. It is useless, they say, to base the defense of materialism on any analysis of mental phenomena that fails to deal explicitly with their subjective character. Yet Occam's razor has often been a precious tool and it is the only universal criterion which allows us to compare theories capable of explaining the same facts. Once we have collected all empirical facts, we have no other way of choosing among equivalent theories. Maybe the most important thing we can derive from this principle is that no empirical fact can be rejected. All empirical facts must be explained, and no accepted theory, independently of importance or past successes, may reject even one single empirical fact for which has still to be found a suitable explanation. Fun. Now we're going to dive into 4.2 direct experience. So, any comments? Any comments you want to put down in the comments section about this amazing thing that I just read? No, I guess nobody's going to put it in the comments. All right. Okay. I can continue then. Let's see. Anybody falling asleep? A couple of people in the back row fell asleep. What is the final demonstration of a theory? When a subject recognizes a theory as the true description of reality, the direct experience is a universally, and I'm going to stop there because we haven't read the bottom bit here, which we probably should read down here, which is like a side note bit. The fundamental critique is that Occam's principle is an epistemic criterion that claims, ontological validity. This principle works using descriptions of reality and not on reality itself. Entities that are not to be manipulated or multiplied, entities that are not to be multiplied are epistemic entities, concepts. Yet the undemonstrated assumption is that this economy reigns also at the ontological level of reality. Bam. All right. Accepted example. Let's think of Galileo's telescope. All right, just trying to see if I could find anything. Not yet, not yet. We'll take a look and see what's in there. What is the difference between direct experience and classical scientific experiments? In direct experience, there must be a conscious experience of at least one conscious subject. In a scientific experiment, this link must remain in an objective domain with no links to the subject. For this very reason, direct experience might appear suspect because it openly makes use of conscious experience. A practical example of direct experience is the following. Let's suppose that I want to show that pain has an extremely unpleasant phenomenal quality for someone who, due to a genetic anomaly, does not have any direct subjective conscious experience of it. Oh my gosh, it's like they've seen it. It's like they've seen it all before. Whoever was writing this was expecting to see what was going to happen today in the Twitter files. Hey, look at this. An old book written in 2001 is telling you about the Fifi situation in the future. Anyway, if there is no direct conscious experience of something, it is impossible to have any knowledge of the associated phenomenal state. Such quality cannot be described objectively. The only way of communicating the subjective content of experience to other people seems to be trying to provoke the same experience in them. Oh, is it now what they're doing with the media and the societal system of continuous outrage that they keep sending and pushing through the media? Oh, look, an old book was talking about this. If I want someone to know what I feel when I get pinched, I can pinch that person. Don't pinch anyone. All right, it says in the book, but don't pinch anyone. If we cause pain in a normal subject, the person would immediately know what pain it is. At least it's subjective pain. And that's why the new MMA system that they're setting up is a bunch of people, a bunch of slappers. Basically, it's a bunch of people get together and they decide to slap each other, and that's going to be a show that people are going to want to watch. I think it derived from old folklore in Italy. They used to have these people, they used to slap themselves, but it was supposed to be like a dance. So they would just dance and then they would slap each other. But I guess nowadays this is so popular that they're making a whole MMA UFC show out of it. So anyway. All right. So just because it says in the book, please don't go around pinching people. The problem of proceeding this way is that it depends on the physical and mental structure of individual subjects and on the acquired knowledge of these structures. Let's now imagine building a device that can modify conscious states. This device is capable of modifying only the phenomenal qualities of experiences without affecting any subjective elements like behavior. Could it be possible to show the efficiency or efficacy of this device objectively without resorting to direct experience? Is there proof of what it is doing without having a direct experience of it? No. Yet if a subject tried out the device on himself, herself, she would immediately be convinced of its efficacy. Can we accept this can we accept this direct experience as a proof? We think so, since if this possibility is ruled out, all empirical facts that are known only through a subjective experience must be excluded from reality. It is not possible that, in the end, all facts, both subjective and objective, will turn out to be based on phenomenal experience. Following the previous rationale, this would entail the cancellation of reality as well. Very interesting way of looking at this. Yeah, I'm going to look into the little side note at the bottom here, so you guys can take a quick look at it. A classical example of this kind of subjective judgment is given by the paradox of phenomenal judgment, Chalmers, 1996, page 150. Our objective judgments are based on our phenomenal subjective experiences, on our ability to compare different subjective experiences whose content is intrinsically subjective. Morris Schnick raised the same problem many years before Schnick, 1938. It is an obvious application of the knowledge argument raised by Jackson, 1986, or by Nagel, 1974. All right, we're going to jump into 4.3 here. Applicative power and predicting capability. A proof of the robustness of a theory is its capability of predicting events that have not happened yet. Well, yeah, we talked about that earlier. Events that no other theory is capable of foreseeing. All right, so the astronomer who predicted a solar eclipse for the first time at court of a Chinese emperor had a well-deserved triumph. The ability to predict the future is the aspect that, more than any other, shows the relationship between a theory and nature. Some might say the ability to connect to the Akashic records. Mumbo jumbo. Yet all our positivic, yet all our positivistic faith must still have its roots in a supposed principle of uniformity that reassures us against Hume's skepticism. The authority of modern science is, for the most part, based on its capability of predicting events before their actual observation. Thanks to the empirical confirmation of such predictions, science has rightly come to stand for its impartiality and objectivity. Yet nowadays, objective science must face an apparently insuperable obstacle. No scientific theory predicts the arising of consciousness from matter, but consciousness is an empirical fact, the first empirical fact. No scientific theory is capable of making any suggestion about how to deal with phenomenal experience, Jaegwon Kim said. Again, if there are any terms in anything that I read and you guys want to step it up, and tell me how to say things properly, I'm always here. It doesn't have to be a YouTubian thing. You can do a Redditian thing, or what is that thing called? Post something. Anyway, and then just connect it up here or whatever with a video response of how to say things. We are not capable of designing through theoretical reasoning a wholly new kind of structure that we can predict will be conscious. I don't think we know how to begin, or indeed how to measure our success. This is what he was talking about. Anyway, he did not know how to do. He did not think there was a way to measure somebody's success. And that kind of goes back to that thing that I was talking about the other day. There's no real such thing as having it all together. You might think that you have it all together. You might be very rich and think that you have it all together. But there's always going to be a part that is never all together, because the human condition does not allow you to have it all together. Just when you think you have it all together, disease can strike. Something else can happen in the realm. Instability of some kind can come in and wipe out your so-called having it all together and burst it into flames. So you can't really ever have it all together, unless you're immortal, unless you are a machine. So current scientific theories, being objectivistic in their structural framework, do not even know how to accept empirical subjective facts among the reputable objective facts. Of course, a theory capable of predicting a phenomenal experience might run for the role of global theory. Mind and matter might be defined conjunctively or conjuntly. Predicting the properties of phenomenal experience, its existence and specific qualities is a crucial point. Anyway, I got distracted by sound. The experiment might require a redefinition of the experimental protocols in such way as to address subjective facts without carrying out their impossible translation into objective reports. The optimum would be to find a crucial experiment, as has happened for most of the scientific theories that effectively have revolutionized in previous categories, something like Foucault's pendulum for the rotation of the Earth, the precession of perhelia of Mercury for general relativity, the falling of feather and a piece of lead for the inertial movement. It should be possible to propose some circumstances in which every theory gives a different prediction. Kim, 1998, page 102. An example in this direction is represented by the work of Varela and Shear, 1999, Varela in 2000. I'm going to show you the bottom of this page. Again, I don't know in this case if you guys can buy this book. It is a very nice book. It's a really good book. But it is pretty old, and I got it as a gift, so there may not be that many copies out there running around the internet. So, for example, dealing with the when and the how of a conscious phenomenal experience, and in which only one theory succeeds in predicting it. So, going back to the thing that I read before, it should be possible to propose some circumstances in which every theory gives a different prediction. And then, for example, dealing with the when and the how of a conscious phenomenal experience, and in which only one theory succeeds in predicting it. I went back just in case people wanted to hear that bit again and understand where it was leading to. 4.4, experiential adequacy, or adequacy, experiential adequacy. Everybody says it different. Each statement dealing with a theory of mind must find a direct correspondence with empirical facts. Both objective and subjective empirical facts are suitable. No fact can be rejected because of any abstract restrictions or any abstract framework. From this point of view, the optimal theory of mind is a theory super empirical. Nothing that is part of an experience can be priori discarded in order to facilitate or simplify the structure of a theory. As an example, let's think of neopositivism or positivism that accepted only so-called objective facts are real. Although neopositivists were willing to use empirical facts only, they ended up using only subset of the total empirical domain. Objective facts, or even reports about objective facts. Wow, that's a mouthful right there. They pretended to derive all knowledge about reality from an a priori narrowed window. An ideal theory of mind should not restrict experience as such in a way, but ought to accept both objective and subjective facts. Each and every entity belonging to experience must find a place in the description of reality. This is real empiricism. Every attempt to reduce any portion of experience to mere appearance must be regarded as metaphysics of the worst species. Moreover, every proposed entity, if real, must entail a difference in empirical experience. This is a way of bridging the gap between the ontological problem and the epistemological problem. Besides, to say that a fact entails a difference in the empirical domain entails that the fact entails a difference in the experience of real subject, right? In the real subject. The difference in the conscious experience of a real subject. Anyway, from what I read here, does that make you wonder why highly intelligent beings struggle with bringing simplistic things to reality? It is because when you are so bound up in all of these complicated things, sometimes it is difficult to break it down to simple terms enough so that people can actually understand the same language and then agree to the same things, right? In practice, what does complete adherence to empirical experience mean? It means that the Cartesian list of properties of mental entities must be used as a compelling starting point. It's going to talk about table 4.1. A framework capable of dealing with this must be searched for. Yet, if the handy objective entities used by science up to now turn out to be inadequate to do this job, what must be done? Should a portion of empirical experience be denied, or should the abstract framework of a science be radically reformed? We opt for the second. Objective physicalistic metaphysics has failed to achieve its ambitious aim, so much the worse. So clearly, other authors have preferred the first option. Daniel Dennett provides a pure example. See footnote 16 of 1.3. So we'd have to go check that out later on in the book. Can't be bothered to jump through books. I mean, this is a bit of a headache already to read as is, but it is quite interesting. I hadn't thought of a lot of these things, and now just reading through this opens possibilities. Anyway, mental entities, extensional entities. So what are some mental entities or qualities of the mental entities? So they have qualities, they have content, they have subject dependent properties. So they have subject dependent properties. They are unities, they are privates, they are presents. Interesting. So mental entities. We'll go through them one more time to make sure that everybody gets what I'm talking about. And then I'll show you the picture so you can read it to yourself as well. Excuse me. Wow. Mental entities, they have qualities, they have content, they have subjects dependent properties. They are unities, they are privates, they are present. Extensional entities. They do not have qualities, they do not have content, they do not have subject-dependent properties. They are just what their parts are. They are public. They do not intrinsically represent anything. I'm going to show you this nice chart. I don't know. Tim. Come on, Tim. If I was using the iPhone 6 or something. If I was using the iPhone 6, this would have done a better job of autofocus. Anyway, table 4.1, comparison between the properties of mental entities and material extension properties. They look rather different. The idea that subject facts are real has gained wider and wider acceptance. Leopold Stubbenberg makes a straightforward statement about this concept in which he calls principle to phenomenological adequacy. Phenomenological adequacy. Could it be any longer? Anyway, I will reject anything. I will reject everything that does not square with what I take to be the phenomenological data. So much the worse for phenomenology is not a viable option for one who adheres to the principle of phenomenological adequacy. Oh my gosh, the Muppets. The phenomenology is that what the theory of consciousness is supposed to be illuminating. If a theory requires us to disregard the deliverances of phenomenology, then it is not the theory I seek. In practice, Stubbenberg and others refuse the dogma of the exclusive acceptability of objective third-person facts. Not only doesn't this entail any return to introspection, but also that it makes it possible to argue that, from an epimistic point of view, objective facts are derived from subject ones, and that the former cannot be more real than the latter. All right, guys, that was quite the read. That was quite the read. So I'm going to read this last bit, but then we're going to continue on next time. But for now, we're going to go with 4.5, the compatibility of empirical science. So a further criterion is the applicability of compatibility with empirical sciences. Frequently, a theory of consciousness has been viewed as the last chapter in the last volume of Neurosciences Encyclopedia. Reality might be different. So among the others, Chalmers Bloch, Cyril Shoemaker, and Stubenberg, 1998, page 36. So anyway, many researchers are looking for a way of mixing subjective reports with objective ones. Shoemaker, 1994, Varela, Shear, 1999, Varela, 2000. Shoemaker, not to be confussed or confused with Michael Schumacher. Schumacher, I don't know. Anyway, good stuff, guys. We've reached page 94. How many more pages in this book? It could take a while. But a lot of the stuff in the back is just bits and pieces they want you to jump to and from the book. So realistically, there's lots of references, intentional robots about references. Boy, a lot of pages about references. OMG about references. Wow. So let me see. From page 280 all the way to page 200 and... Wow. So... Come on now. Okay. So from page 280 to page 294, those are all pretty much references. It's a lot of references. And then we have an index, and the index goes, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A whole 9 pages of reference, of index. And we talked about the references and the book itself. There's even a thing called TEM in a nutshell. It goes through all of that. Boy, math. The math that comes with this thing. It is very mathly indeed. Lots of mathly stuff in there. Math. So, wow. And interestingly enough, Riccardo Manzotti. I even have his business card, but I'm not going to show you that too closely. Although it's probably so old that it probably isn't his stuff anymore. But anyway, here we go, guys. This is a really fun book. As you can see, it's riveting because, as you can see, there's like so a couple of million people watching right now. It's crazy. It's hard to when there are this many people. It's hard to focus and to read stuff because like you get scared, you get shy in front of the camera. Okay. Anyway, if you guys want this book or might be able to find it somewhere, this is the front and the back. It is Riccardo Manzotti. Intentional Robots, the Design of a Goal-Seeking Environmental-Driven Agent. Lira Lab, Dist, University of Genoa. Anyway, good stuff. So with this fun image and my very scary-looking face, I'ma say goodbye, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, guys.